Hello, my name is Lisa. I'm an Assistant Director with the Community Engagement Team at the NDIA. Today I am talking about community connections, and this session is part of the Understanding the NDIS series, and it's designed for NDIS participants, carers, families, as well as educational professionals and supporting services such as advocacy or peer support. The material in today's information session is general in nature. Information provided in presentations by the National Disability Insurance Agency is considered to be true and correct at the time the presentation was presented or recorded. Changes in circumstances after the time of the presentation or recording may impact the accuracy of this information. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the countries on which we meet today and their continuing connection to land, sea and community. I pay my respects to elders, past and present, and extend that acknowledgement and respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders watching today. In this presentation, I will cover the participant journey, how we support people with disability, community connections, and we'll finish with where to find further information. The image on screen gives an overview of the main steps in the NDIS participant journey for people aged 9 to 64. Today's presentation is focused on the very first step, making connections. Making connections is all about helping people link with the supports and services that are available and exist in their local community. For someone who's recently acquired a disability or received a recent diagnosis for themselves or someone they care for, the experience can feel confusing, overwhelming, and emotionally demanding. People often find themselves suddenly navigating new service systems, medical information, and support options that they've never had to think about before. Our role is to help people understand what supports exist across mainstream, community, and informal networks, and not to pressure them into taking every option, but to give them clear information so they can choose what feels right. A person doesn't need to be eligible for the NDIS or even planning to apply to get support from us at this stage. When someone connects with a local area coordinator to do this, we call that community connections. For younger children and families, when they connect with an early childhood partner, we call that early connections. And overall, this step is about making sure people are not navigating all of this and various systems on their own. Local area coordinators and early childhood partners are available to work with anyone with a disability, as well as their families and carers who are seeking to better understand what supports are available in their community. Their role includes helping people to connect with mainstream services such as health, mental health, education, housing, and employment. Now, these services form part of a broader service system, and they're available to all members of the community. And in addition to mainstream services, community supports play an equally important role. These might include peer support groups, cultural organisations, faith-based organisations, or programs that are delivered by local councils. These types of supports help individuals feel connected, included and engaged with their local community. They're often low cost or free, and for many people, they represent the first point of access to practical assistance, social connection and a sense of belonging. So overall, this step is about looking at the supports available beyond funded services. It focuses on helping people identify and connect with options that are meaningful, accessible and appropriate to their individual circumstances. And when a person with a disability first meets with an NDIS partner, the partner will ask for documents that prove their identity. This step is about protecting people's privacy and ensures we're only sharing personal information with the right people. This step is about making sure we start the conversation safely and that we're talking with the right person before we move on to supporting them with community connections. The NDIS can support anyone with a disability to find the right information and links to local services, even if the person doesn't have an NDIS plan. For people aged 9 to 64, this support sits under what we call community connections. It's about helping someone living with a disability navigate what's already available around them and making sure they know where to go for help. And also importantly, this support is available even if the person isn't eligible for funded NDIS supports. And for people who are aged 65 and over, we will provide them with information on their local aged care services instead. Community connections aim to reduce stress by explaining systems in simple and accessible ways, building confidence by showing what support is available no matter where someone is on their recovery journey, and offer choices without expectations, respecting that every person decides what they want to explore or connect with. A community connections plan is a written summary of the conversation someone has with their NDIS partner. It's not a formal NDIS plan and it doesn't include funding. To create a plan, the partner will ask a few practical questions. They might ask about a person's living situation or a person's informal supports. These are the everyday supports people receive from friends, family, neighbours or community members. They may also ask about their goals or priorities and whether they're already linked in with other support services or systems. It's about building a clear picture of what's happening for a person in terms of supports and what could help. And it's really important to note that this plan is completely optional. Someone doesn't need one to receive help through community connections, and it doesn't affect whether they can apply for the NDIS later. They are for people who find it helpful to have something written down to prompt them and guide their next steps. When someone is talking with an NDIS partner about community connections, they only need to share the information they feel comfortable sharing. There's no set requirement or checklist they must work through. The more a person is willing to tell us about what's happening in their life, the easier it is for the partner to develop a quality community connections plan. If a person chooses not to provide personal information, that's entirely their decision. It does mean we won't have the detail required to prepare a written community connections plan with them, but we can still offer advice, talk through options, and point them towards support that might be helpful and that they want to follow up. They can still sit down with a local area coordinator, ask questions, and get guidance. The plan is just one of the tools available. It's not a requirement. Another part of community connections is helping people find the right information at the right time. Sometimes that's all someone needs to feel a bit more confident or to take the next step. Depending on what a person is looking for, this might include things like learning more about different disabilities or health conditions, understanding what's accessible in their local area, finding out about their rights and which organisations can support them to speak up, or getting information about services or programs that could be useful for them. Everyone's disability and situation is different, and the information that's helpful for one person might not be what someone else needs. Mainstream and community supports are available to everyone, not just people with disability. They are the day-to-day services in the broader system that people rely on all the time. Mainstream supports come from government-funded services such as healthcare, the mental health services, education, housing, or employment programs. These are often the first places people turn to when they need help, and they continue to play a big role even when someone has a funded NDIS plan. The NDIS cannot duplicate or replace the mainstream supports that already exist. Then there are community-based supports. Now, these might come through local organisations, neighbourhood houses, cultural or faith groups. It could be sporting clubs, libraries, or council-run programs. They are usually close to home and can be a great way for people to build connections or get practical help in the area that they live. Local area coordinators are well placed to support these connections because they have strong links in their local communities. They know what services are around and what's available in the local area, and how to help someone find the right fit, whether that's a service, a group, or even just the right piece of information. And peer support can be really powerful because it gives people the chance to talk with someone who may have similar experiences or situations. Some people like connecting one-to-one, and others prefer group settings. So there's flexibility in how this could look. These connections can happen face-to-face or online, depending on what's accessible, available, and what the person is comfortable with. The focus is usually on sharing practical tips, building confidence, learning from others, and sometimes even contributing their own insights to support someone else. For many people, it's also a way to feel less isolated and to form part of a community, not just receive information, but an opportunity to build relationships. Local area coordinators can help people find and connect to appropriate peer support networks in their local community. And while someone is exploring community supports or getting a clearer picture of what's available to them locally, they might decide that they want to apply for the NDIS as well. If a person is thinking about applying, their local area coordinator can support them by explaining what's involved. This may include helping them understand the eligibility criteria, working out what information and evidence they may need to provide. It's about making sure they have clear information and support so that they can make that decision confidently. And if they do want to apply, the local area coordinator can guide them through the steps and the paperwork so that they're not navigating this on their own. The NDIS website has a range of resources that go into the topics that we've covered today. These include booklets, fact sheets and short guides. For anyone wanting more detail about how community connections work in practice, the Community Connections Guidelines are a useful reference. Their link is on screen. They outline the approach, what partners can help with, and what people can expect from the experience. They even have some examples. And that brings me to the end of the presentation. Thank you for taking the time to watch our presentation on community connections.